What if I told you there's a silent $6.5 trillion disaster quietly collapsing beneath our feet? No, I'm not talking about some war debt or an invisible crypto crash or the next global stock meltdown. I'm talking about something far more mundane, yet far more dangerous to every society on Earth. The crumbling web of roads, bridges, power grids, water pipes, and data cables we all depend on daily. In this video, we're diving deep into what analysts call the $6.5 trillion problem nobody notices. We'll explore why infrastructure maintenance, not flashy new skyscrapers, could become the biggest economic burden of our generation. By the end, you'll see why this silent crisis could determine whether cities thrive or collapse under their own weight. Imagine a city. Shiny new subway systems, towering skyscrapers lit bright at night, express highways zipping people from suburbs to downtown in minutes. Politicians praise progress. Investors cash in. Citizens cheer. We love the spectacle of new construction. It feels like forward motion, growth, prosperity, promise. And on paper it shows. GDP rises, jobs are created, economies boom. That's why governments love infrastructure investment. It's visible, tangible, and politically rewarding. Building a new bridge, a new airport, or a high-speed rail line becomes a symbol of progress. But here's the problem. What happens after the ribbon is cut? Every new inch of concrete, every mile of cable, every pump station underground, they don't stay pristine forever. They deteriorate. Rust sets in, water corrodes, soil shifts, wear and tear add up, weather destroys, maintenance is deferred. And the truth is, maintaining infrastructure doesn't create flashy headlines. It doesn't win elections. It barely gets noticed. That's the core argument of the piece titled The $6.5 trillion Problem Nobody Notices, by the creators behind a channel called Economics, explained a cost almost as huge as the sum total of new infrastructure investment, yet largely ignored. Because of this neglect, what should be steady upkeep becomes escalating decay. Cracks in roads turn into potholes. Leaking water mains turn into sinkholes. Old bridges turn unstable. Power grids become unreliable. And the bigger the infrastructure network you build, the bigger this ticking time bomb becomes. To grasp the scale of the problem, look at the facts. Globally, the baseline of annual infrastructure investment, covering transport, power, water, telecoms, was estimated at about $2.5 trillion per year. But by 2015, this wasn't enough. Experts revised the number. The world actually needs about $3.7 trillion per year just to keep up with growth in population, urbanization, energy demand, and economic expansion, before even considering replacement or expansion. At that rate, bridging future needs through 2035 would require tens of trillions of dollars. One detailed projection even estimates a cumulative need of as much as $106 trillion by 2040 across transport, energy, digital networks, social infrastructure, water, waste, agriculture, and defense. But here's the kicker. Even with all that, maintenance tends to be underfunded. A major global gap remains. According to the follow-up analysis by McKinsey Global Institute, MGI, there's a global shortfall of around $5.5 trillion between what is being spent and what is needed between now and 2035. And that's before accounting for reinvestment of aging systems. That enormous gap, that's where the 6.5 trillion notion comes from. It's not a single check written overnight. It's the accumulated, hidden cost of decades of deferred maintenance worldwide. It's hidden underground or behind walls. Maintenance doesn't generate flashy visuals. A well-maintained highway doesn't look impressive, but a collapsed one with potholes does. It's politically unpopular. Voters typically favour new bridges and airports, the shiny, tangible progress. Ask them to pay for water pipes maintenance? Crickets. It's long-term and gradual. Decay happens slowly. So long as nothing catastrophic happens, people assume it'll last another few years. That illusion costs. It's difficult to budget for. Infrastructure lifespans are decades long. Predicting where, replacement cycles, and future needs is murky. Governments often underestimate or ignore those future costs. Hence, while the world celebrates new development, underlying systems weaken. And when cracks begin, the consequences are sudden, dramatic, and expensive. Let's consider a few examples. A neglected bridge, not regularly inspected or repaired, might collapse, causing loss of life, massive reconstruction costs, and shutdowns. A water pipeline left aging for decades not replaced leads to leaks, inefficiencies, water loss, and potential contamination. Power grids not upgraded to meet rising load, especially with digital infrastructure, data centers, AL demand, can cause blackouts or system failures. Roads and transport networks degrade, leading to slower commutes, increased vehicle maintenance costs, lost productivity. In aggregate, these don't just cause inconvenience, they erode economic growth, reduce quality of life, and undermine long-term prosperity. Some past cases already show this. Countries suffering economic downturns after massive infrastructure spending, but failing to maintain it sustainably. According to Economics Explained, some nations, despite building rapidly, fell into debt traps or economic instability because maintenance and upkeep were ignored. Beyond individual failures, there's also systemic risk. When multiple components of infrastructure transport, energy, digital, social degrade together, societies lose resilience. Natural disasters, climate shocks, or demographic pressures can tip the balance from aging but manageable to system-wide crisis. So here's the challenge. We collectively, globally, have built a massive interdependent infrastructure network. But we acted like building it once was enough. We didn't treat maintenance as part of the deal. Now, with decades of wear and tear, population growth, climate change, rising demand for energy, and data, that once-built model is collapsing under its own weight. 841. And very few are talking about it. Worse, when governments finally feel pressure, the solution tends to be more building. A new highway, a new bridge, a new rail line, not fixing what we already have. This cycle amplifies the problem because new infrastructure just adds to the future maintenance burden. So accounting and budgeting flaws. When constructing new infrastructure, governments often treat it as capital expenditure. But maintenance and upkeep tend to vanish under operations or get postponed because they don't look like immediate value. Short-term political cycles. Elected officials operate on 4 to 6 year cycles. Building something new wins votes now. Paying for maintenance invisible, deferred, rarely wins votes until a bridge collapses or a blackout hits. Lack of public awareness. People don't appreciate what works until it fails. A smoothly running water or electricity system is taken for granted. Once it breaks, chaos. Complexity and scope. Infrastructure nowadays isn't just roads and bridges. Digital networks, power grids, water systems, waste management, all interconnected. Upgrading or maintaining one piece often requires coordinated planning across sectors. Ignoring maintenance has a deferred bill, which compounds. Small fixes become major rebuilds. A water leak becomes a contaminated supply. An unmaintained grid becomes a blackout affecting millions. Economically, this translates to lost productivity, emergency repair costs, often 3 to 5 times regular maintenance, higher borrowing or debt, and potentially even economic downturn if infrastructure collapse becomes widespread. Socially, infrastructure failure affects quality of life, public health, safety, and trust in institutions. Environmental costs come too. Inefficient water systems waste resources. Old power grids leak energy. Decaying infrastructure contributes to pollution, inefficiency, and climate vulnerability. This isn't a problem of poor countries only. Even wealthy nations with advanced infrastructure face this. According to McKinsey, the global gap between what's needed and what's spent on infrastructure maintenance and investment is projected at multiple trillions, a systemic issue across developed and developing economies alike. Another recent report warns that by 2040, meeting infrastructure needs including maintenance, upgrades and expansion will require a staggering $106 trillion worldwide. In short, no country, no city, no community is immune. Here's the hard truth. The $6.5 trillion figure isn't a distant number. It's the baseline, just the hidden maintenance cost. But if we continue to ignore it, two things will happen. The decay will accelerate beyond the ability of many economies to pay, leading to widespread breakdowns, disasters, failures. The cost will explode. Deferred maintenance turned into structural failure costs 3 to 5 times more than regular upkeep. Every time we ignore it, we're gambling with society's foundation. 1.2. We're standing on a house of cards, not built with flimsy materials, but built with neglect and broken promises. And sooner or later, the collapse will be too big to just patch up. We live in an age dazzled by new build-outs. Mega projects, smart cities, shiny skylines, high-speed trains, 5G networks. But beneath that glamour lies a neglected burden. The quiet, persistent decay of the infrastructure that holds modern life together. The $6.5 trillion problem isn't a catchy clickbait title. It's a stark warning. Unless we shift from a build once mindset to a build and maintain mindset, our cities, economies and societies face a slow, creeping crisis. Ignoring maintenance doesn't make the problem disappear. It simply postpones it while stacking the odds for a far bigger collapse. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe and check out the channel to find more amazing and new videos.